Chair Pfaff, you may begin.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Welcome to the February 12th, 2024 Burlingame Planning Commission meeting. For all in attendance today, please note that this Planning Commission meeting is being held in person and using the Zoom webinar format. This meeting is also being streamed live on YouTube and will be uploaded to the city's website. Please note that we are not accepting remote public comment during commission meetings. We ask that the public either attend meetings in person to comment or send an email to publiccomment@burlingame.org. Staff will be monitoring emails submitted during the meeting, which will be read at the appropriate time. The length of the email comment should be commensurate with the 3 minutes customarily allowed for verbal comment. That moves us to item 2, roll call. The record should note that all 7 members of the commission are present this evening. Agenda item 3, request for AB 2249, remote participation. There are no commissioners participating remotely. Agenda item number 4, approval of minutes. We have meeting minutes to review and approve this evening from the January 22nd, 2024 regular Planning Commission meeting. Are there any comments, changes?
I was not here for that meeting, but I did review online.
Okay.
So I can,
Great. Any edits or nothing? I also have nothing. So may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for Monday, January 22nd.
Okay, then I'm going to second that. Motion made by Commissioner Camarado, seconded by me, Commissioner Pfaff, and may I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal,
Aye.
Chair Pfaff.
Aye. Okay. Approval of agenda item number 5. Staff, are there any changes to the agenda?
Staff has no changes to the agenda.
And do we have any recusals?
I will be recusing from item 10B because Patron Turnbull has written a report on that property recently.
Okay, great. Thanks. Thank you very much. So that brings us to item 6, public comment on agenda. Members of the public may speak about any item not on the agenda. Members of the public wishing to suggest an item for a future Planning Commission meeting may do so during the public comment period. The Ralph Brown Act, the state local agency open meeting law prohibits Planning Commission from acting on any matter that is not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any members of the public attending in person who wish to speak on any item that is not on our agenda? No. And do we have any emails?
We have no public comment emails.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're going to move to the next item. Agenda 7, study items. There were no study items for review. Agenda item 8, consent calendar. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine. They are acted on simultaneously. Unless separate discussion and or action is requested by the applicant, a member of the public, or a commissioner prior to the time the commission votes on the motion to adopt. This evening, we have just the one item on the consent calendar, item 8A, which is 2204 Hillside Drive. Would any member of the public or our planning commission like to pull this item for discussion? I don't see any. Okay. Is anyone allowed to do something from okay, nothing. All right, then.
But, sorry, there were no public comment emails for this project, but you do need to take a motion and a vote.
Okay, then.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
I second that.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Schmid and seconded by Commissioner Haran. May I have a roll call then? Yes.
Commissioner Camarado,
Aye.
Commissioner Haran,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmid,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal.
Aye.
And Chair Pfaff.
Aye. Thank the applicant for the requests that we made before. Good job.
And this item is appealable, so we need to read the appeal rights.
Sorry?
This item is appealable.
Oh, yeah, I have to read that. Yes, sorry. An action by the Planning Commission is appealable to the City Council within 10 days of the Planning Commission's action. If the Planning Commission's action has not been appealed or called up for review by the City Council by 5 p.m. on the 10th day, the action becomes final. In order to be effective, if appeals must be in writing and must be accompanied by an appeal fee of $784, which includes noticing costs. Very much. On to agenda item 9, regular action items. There are no regular action items for review. That brings us to agenda item 10, which is design review study items. First, we have agenda item 10A, 1410 Carlos Avenue. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any ex parte communications regarding this project? Nope. Okay. Let the record note that all commissioners present have visited the project site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This application is for design review for a first and second story addition to an existing single unit dwelling. The subject property is an interior lot with an existing one-story house with a one-car detached garage. The applicant is proposing a 36 square feet first floor addition at the rear of the house and a new 1,036 square feet second floor addition. The total floor area would be 3,035 square feet, where 3,307 square feet is the maximum allowed. The number of bedrooms is increasing from 3 to 4 bedrooms. At least 2 parking spaces are required, one of which must be covered. The proposed detached garage provides 1 covered space, and 1 uncovered space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning code requirements have been met. That concludes my summary. If there are any questions of staff, I'm available.
Does anyone have any questions of staff on this home? Okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward and state your name and anything else you would like to add about your project?
Hi, good evening. My name is Joe Sable from Arrow 11 Design. I wanted to start out by thanking every one of the members for taking the time to review our project. We really appreciate that. I just had a couple of general comments to make. I think the focus of the design was to maintain all the traditional roof forms and the existing kind of massing of the project and still add a little bit of space for their growing family. The addition in the rear is to kind of square off the corner a notch in the first floor, and the existing or the new proposed second floor is actually, the majority is within an existing attic space that was created about in the 80s at some point. So we're just adding a little bit more of the second floor, mostly to the rear. And I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have for me. Thank you so much.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey,
Hi.
when you're facing the house on the right side, there's the existing chimney. And it looks like we're going to convert that to a gas direct.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it looks like you're going to keep the box though on the exterior.
So, yeah, we wanted to keep that kind of massing to break up that right side of the building. But yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and that looks good. I'm just curious of how it interacts with the roof. Is it going to be encapsulated under the eave?
So I think it's going to be horizontally vented in that mass, and nothing's going to project through the roof.
Okay, so but the gutter will come proud of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hearn?
Maybe could you talk through the standing seam roof?
Yeah.
Architectural style is that you're going for?
Thank you. I think the owners wanted to kind of maintain the traditional roof forms, but also kind of give it a more of a aesthetic update. I think it purely comes from aesthetics to have that kind of look. We're also focused on kind of no trim windows. We want to recess the windows into the mass of the building with kind of stucco return to kind of keep that, that modern aesthetic. But I think also the color of the standing seam was going to be a dark color, is it a dark bronze or a charcoal. So we didn't want to create a massive reflective thing, but it's more like just the aesthetics to kind of bring it into that kind of a, I would call it kind of a hybrid, where we have the traditional roof massing with some aesthetics that bring it a little more contemporary.
I'm going to go before. Okay. I have a, first thing I'm going to ask you a measurement because I'm not so good with the measurements.
Yes.
On your front, the entrance, what, if you could just tell me, if someone's standing on the stoop to get in the front door, the apex of the, I guess, portico, I don't know what to call it, the highest point above there, about what is that? Could you tell me how much?
Sure. Let me just look real quick. I give you a more accurate guesstimate here. Are you talking about the initial lower gable or the bigger one?
No, the lower. Mhm.
That front door is about 7 feet, so it's probably, the apex is probably between 10 and 11 at that point.
Okay. And there's,
8, 9, 10, yeah, probably 11.
so there's a piece that comes out somewhat from the old part of I know the house was pulled with, I can tell that. It's been altered, what you're dealing with, but.
Yeah, yes,
So you're, sort of, you're dealing with just the core of what you have in the, but so there, it comes out a little bit above the door. So if I'm standing at the door, there's a piece that is, a piece of stucco will come out, I don't know how many feet in this direction.
correct.
How much is that?
Oh, I see that. So that's, I understand where you're going at.
Yeah,
So,
trying to see how. what-
yeah, so the door itself is recessed into the existing structure, like about 1.5 feet.
Okay,
And then it goes up that's about 9 feet. And then the stucco comes back out to the original plane of the house.
Mhm.
And then it goes up to that 10 or 11 peak. So really the extrusion into past the face is literally just the roof structure, the gable awning, if you will. I'm going to call it the rake
got it.
porch there, porch roof.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schmidt?
What are you doing then with the color palette for the stucco?
So I think it's going to be kind of in the, I'm going to call it the sand range. Kind of, it's a warm tone. It's not a cold tone, but it's kind of in that range where it's I wouldn't call it taupe or anything like that. It's more just in the kind of sand zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then is there going to be any change of color relative to any of your bands or trims?
That's a great question. Right now, there is no change in color for the bands. They're the same color.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great question.
No one else? Oh, yes, Commissioners.
Thank you. So I think there's a few disparities between your perspectives and what's shown on the elevation. So I'm just asking some clarification questions. It could be that your perspectives are either
Okay,
are
yeah, sure.
or less accurate
Yes,
to intend. One is the width of your standing seams on the roof. They look to be much more repetitive or narrower on the perspectives and wider on the elevations.
correct.
Chosen seam dimension.
I think it's going to be like kind of the standard 16-inch
Okay.
standing seam. And I think, yeah, that's the challenge of the perspective because it's so deep. We get the lines. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That was hard to articulate. The computer did not agree with me on that.
Right. Okay. And then there's a attic vent shown above that entry portico that's not shown on the perspective. Is there that attic vent?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that's just, it should be there. It's an omission in the perspective, but the elevation is, right. Yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Okay. And where you have shown existing windows versus new, the grid patterns are different on those windows that are shown existing. Is your intention there to keep the existing window opening and changing to new windows,
Yes.
existing windows to remain?
No, the goal is to keep the existing the existing openings and replace with a new window in that opening with no grids.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I think that was me.
all right. I think that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for pointing those out. I appreciate that.
Then, Thank you. And so do we have any members of the public in attendance who would like to speak on this item? Or do we receive any public?
There were no public comment emails submitted.
Okay. Then I'm going to close the public. Oh, yeah.
And I have one, one of the owners is here, would like to speak. Is that okay? Is this the right time to do?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm always here to answer questions. I'm right here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet everybody on the committee today. My name is Baram Razani. My wife is Neda Hamadani. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it today. We are excited to become your guys' neighbors. We looked at many places in the Bay Area to live, and we really fell in love with Burlingame. We really imagined our 2-year-old daughter growing up here and expanding our family, which in May we hopefully will. And so these are, I'm not an architect, but these are lines. And when Joe worked with us to draw them, we really imagined our daughters growing up here. And anyway, we're very excited. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. So then I guess I will close the public hearing. So my colleagues who would like to start.
So I think, I think it's not a bad design. I think that if we could have a color rendition of the project, it would help us, it would help me tremendously with the 3D and just kind of getting a really true perspective of the project itself. The front is a little worrisome to me. I'm not sure, and maybe that color rendition will help me visualize it a little bit better. So that's what I was thinking of.
Commissioner.
So first of all, I appreciate the renovation. I like the fact that you're saving the house and putting a second floor on it. I like the massing. The roof massing is really nice. I'm not a fan of the standing seam metal roof on that style. I like standing seam metal roofs, but on farmhouse style. It just feels like that combined with stucco doesn't work as well as that combined with wood clapboard or barn board. The front there's something flat about it. I think the fact that there's no windows flanking the doors. I actually like the front of the existing house better. I like the fact that it was a covered porch, so you can kind of see the history of them filling in the porch. I like the columns on either end. So it's a shame that we couldn't save that. And the windows, I really like the existing windows better than the modern windows with no mullions. So, but appreciate it's heading in the right direction.
Who would like to go? Commissioner Say.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of what Commissioner Haran just shared. I also think the massing is quite nice on the house, so appreciate that. I think you've done a very nice job with that. I think part of my challenge with supporting the design right now as it is just a lack of information on the perspectives. And I think it would be helpful to see a more realized rendering that's brought back for us to see some of the details that you intend or lack of details, on the house with actual colors and textures. There's missing little details here and there between the elevations and the perspectives. And I think that the perspectives really need to kind of show us what the house is intended to look like. I think the windows I think the window patterns, like there's a number of windows along the sides, and I don't know if there is an ability to put a little order to them. I see that some of them are in pairs, some of them are in triplets, but not necessarily organized, a set on top of another from one floor to the next. Maybe taking a look at how to put a little bit more order to the window locations on the side elevations in particular. With the front, I think that your intention to have, I think you're trying to create a little bit of weather protection over the front door. From what I can see in the plans, it looks like it's about 24 inches of overhang. And I don't know if that's sufficient enough. If somebody was coming in from the rain with groceries in hand, needing to get their keys out of their pocket and such, you might want to take a look at providing a little bit more depth for weather protection. I think also that height is not helping because it's shallow and it's tall. So it's not really providing any assistance to anyone trying to get in or out of the house. So maybe taking a look at that, creating a little bit more pedestrian kind of human scale to that front entrance. It's feeling a bit stark and tall and not very inviting, if you will. So I would like to see a little bit more detail there. And I think I agree too with Commissioner Haran about maybe adding some windows on either side of the entry portico area, if at all, adding a little bit more interest at the front. I appreciate the modern approach. Don't have really an issue with that. It's just seeing those details carried out a little bit more thoroughly for us to review. Thank you.
I'm gonna piggyback on the comments because mine are similar. I'm just gonna start with the front. It may just be the drawing, but I think there's something that's not human scale about the front we were discussing. It feels a little glued on to me the way it is. I'm trying to understand the lower roof I'm talking about and the triangle thing inside. It feels a little like it's been sort of glued on. And maybe if that were lowered and we could see or feel something supporting that portico thing rather than just hanging there, I think that might give it, kind of pull it together. And I think windows in that front part, agree with my colleagues, would really make it feel less, what's the word? More inviting. Yes, to me, more inviting. So anyway, I don't know. Those are my main comments. Thank you. And I do agree with colleagues on this. Does anyone else have any?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the mass and the form work well, and I appreciate the reuse and being able to fit into the height and everything. I think those things are really working well. I'm struggling with the modern interpretation because no grids makes the windows look bigger. Narrow line makes the windows look bigger. They're big, and they're looking at your neighbors on either side. The existing house has a lot of windows too. I agree, but I would say these days we're seeing a lot smaller windows on the sides to try and be a little bit more courteous to our neighbors. And so you got a lot of big windows. I think that the rendering comment is very pertinent. I think it needs more detail to help us. And even the elevations for that matter, because we see gutters, but we don't see downspouts. We don't see vents. We don't see lights. We don't see address. We don't see any trim. I'm usually looking for window details, and I realize that you don't really need a window detail if you're only going to do a cut-in, but I actually don't look at that as a positive for me, because I think it makes all the surfaces flat. And I think that that's everybody's dancing around on the entry is there's not really much depth to it, not much size to it. So it's not really very embracing. So, I mean, I think the programming works and I don't have any issues with that. And the standing metal seam doesn't necessarily bother me as much. But it needs to then, I'm afraid of a white box with a standing seam metal roof and no trim and no detail. It's gonna, it's gonna look like a shoebox for me. So I would encourage a bit more discussion about how to make the exterior work a little bit more. That was kind of my question on the color and the material change. You have a couple bands to work with, but if you just white them out, they're gonna go away. And then I don't get anything out of them. So I think that adding those kinds of human things into the drawings will help us break up some of that stuff and the bigger pieces and show us that you guys have thought about the details of how all those real things are going to work. Because this one's going down, going downhill quite a bit. So you've got underfloor space and all of that to deal with. Even the attic vent, getting that in your drawings consistently adds at least a visual cue to the home. So yes, that's good for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of designs that are taking like a Craftsman or some other kind and kind of like updating it to a more contemporary design. And I think that this is definitely a good take on that overall. I think it's better to lean more towards keeping in line with the original design or lean towards a newer, more modern, clean interpretation. For sure, the issues come when you try and go right down the middle and you get things that just look like they don't belong on the same building. That being said, I do definitely think that there's a little bit more work that could be done on the primary facade. I think that actually the existing columns, I don't know whether or not it's would look good for them to stay as they are, but I think that taking influence from those columns, either where they're at right now on the sides of that mass or adding them right next to the door to add some what looked like supports to that that portico, I think that's a good idea. I'm sure there's lots of simplified versions like pilasters or something like that that would come out really well. I also agree that without any kind of divided or simulated divided lights, the windows look a little bit large. I think that this exact pattern will look especially dated if it's carried directly over. So I'm not advocating for that specifically, but I think that maybe even just 1/1 double hung might look better in this scenario, just something to make them look not quite so large. Other than that, and also I don't have a particular problem with the standing seam metal roof personally. I think it'll come out looking okay on this one. But yeah, I agree with my commissioners.
Thank you.
The only comment I would add is, walking around the neighborhood, almost every house has grids in the windows. And I just feel like removing them in this house would stand out more. I agree with Commissioner Horn. I'm not a big fan of standing seam metal roofs in this type of architecture, but that's subjective. So I'm not going to stop you there, but I think it would be more obvious with the windows without grids. It seems to be, you don't want it to be too stark, especially with the traditional homes all around that neighborhood. So just my 2 cents. Otherwise, I could see it moving forward to action in a little bit more detail, and I could see moving this forward. I have no problem making a motion to move it. That's what people think. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Lowenthal and seconded by Commissioner Slay.
Can I add a comment? We're moving it forward, but that doesn't mean we're saying that we like it exactly as it is. Yeah. There's a lot of good things about it, but there's a lot more to do to get through the next meeting. Okay, thank you.
Agree with that comment.
Yeah. Okay, then, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Camerata,
Aye.
Commissioner Horan,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Shores,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal.
Aye.
Chair Foss.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, that moves up to now we're going to design review study item 10B, which is 124 Occidental Avenue. Were any commissioners not able to visit the project site, or do any commissioners wish to note any expert communications? saying goodbye to Commissioner Shores, who is on this item. Let the record note, all commissioners present have visited the site. Can we hear the staff report, please?
This application is for design review for a new two-story, single-unit dwelling and detached garage. The subject property is located within the Burlingame Park Number 2 subdivision. A historic resource evaluation was prepared for the property and concluded that it does not appear to be eligible for listing in the national or California registers. The subject property is an interior lot with an existing single-unit dwelling, detached cottage, and a carport. The applicant is proposing to demolish all structures on site and build a new two-story house, a new detached accessory dwelling unit or ADU, and a new detached garage that would be connected to the ADU. The total floor area would be 3,776 square feet, where 3,798 square feet is the maximum allowed, which includes a covered porch and ADU exemptions. The new dwelling would contain 5 bedrooms. Let's see. And then when a carport or covered parking structure is demolished in conjunction with the construction of an ADU, those off-street parking spaces are not required to be replaced. Therefore, the proposed project has no covered parking requirement. But 1 covered parking space is provided in the new detached garage and 1 uncovered parking space is provided in the driveway. All other zoning code requirements have been met. That concludes my summary. If there are any questions of staff, I'm available at this time.
Are there any questions, staff? No? Yeah, I also have no questions. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward? Yes, hi.
Yeah, hi. Hi, this is James Chu Design and Associates.
Mhm.
Well, first of all, Happy New Year's, everyone. Thank you for your time reviewing this project. And thanks for the staff for very brief presentation that we tearing this house down. We're replacing with 2-story French country inspired and an ADU and 1-car garage. It's pretty straightforward. We provided a color rendering to show what the house would look like. And you know, this is design review, so I'm very curious to hear your comments and hope you like the project.
Okay, thanks so much. Then let's see, do you have any questions of the applicant? No? All right. Do we have any members of the public who are attending who would like to comment or? No? No.
And there were no public comment emails submitted.
Okay. All righty, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll go. I actually really like the project. I don't really have any comments. I think the rendering actually even sealed it this evening. I mean, that made it even look better. But the drawings were clear. Everything I wanted to see was there, and just a good regular project. So I appreciate the effort being put into the submittal, and I'd love to see it go forward.
Commissioner Smith?
Yeah, I had no comments other than to ask for a colored rendering, which we got to see this evening. It didn't come with our packets, James, in case you were wondering. But I think it's a beautiful home, and I agree too that the rendering does even more justice to the design in color and texturized than the black and white, line drawings. I don't know if there's any other comments. I see this one going straight to consent.
It's very lovely. Nice job, I think. So
I'll move that we move this project to the consent calendar
I'll second.
as per the staff report.
So may I have a roll call? Any comments? Any additional? May I have a roll call?
Oh, yes. Commissioner Camerado,
Aye.
Commissioner Horan,
Aye.
Commissioner Schmidt,
Aye.
Commissioner Say,
Aye.
Vice Chair Lowenthal,
Aye.
Chair Foss.
Aye, thank you very much. Oh, do I read my
Nope.
thing? No? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Next time.
Next time. Okay, great. Thank you. And let's see. So we're moving on to item 11, Commissioners' Reports. Are there any Commissioners' Reports this evening? Oops. Did you say something?
We have to
We have to retrieve Walker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
You'll see us.
now I feel bad.
Might have gone faster than you expected.
I can't talk that fast.
Oh, no. He went for a walk around the block.
Yeah, maybe he went. Oh. Find this one.
Our apologies for not including the renderings. So we'll work with staff to make sure that the renderings, that we get the hard copies of the renderings for you to come along with the packets.
One.
I need to sign it or Kristen's?
Yeah. Oh, stop, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yes. Hi. Okay, thank you very much. So, are there any commissioners' reports? I do just want to say, this wasn't really our thing we were assigned to do, but I did listen to a very interesting, Zoom from San Mateo, in fact, about their, historic element that they're thinking about doing, and historic districts. There's some kind of issue over there. So it was just very interesting to hear. So do we have any directors' reports?
There were no planning related items to report from the February 5th City Council meeting. There's also an FYI that's before you for 12:05.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Does anyone would anyone like to pull the FYI from Howard? No? Okay, I not either. So that's good. Then, are there any future agenda items? No? Then I am going to adjourn this meeting at, could it be?
Oh, I almost forgot.
Oh.
The goal.
I did send out an email today just to let you all know about a planning commissioners training coming up at the end of February. It's new housing laws. Dinner will be provided. So just keep an eye on that. And there's a link there to register for that. I believe one commissioner's already registered.
I did get that, and I was wondering, is the same group putting it on that did the last group? Oh,
Yes.
yes.
This time it's in Millbrae.
What did you?
It's in Millbrae, not in San
Oh, it's in
Mateo. just
Sorry,
so you know.
yeah, but it's the same group. All right. Thank you very much. Then now I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 7:37. Record. All right, thanks very much. Mhm.